Welcome back. I'm Brad Guthrie, and I have my guest, James Kelly, political science major and a freelance reporter. Hey.
Thanks for having me.
How you doing, James?
How are you?
Nice to meet you.
Yeah,
yes.
you too.
So let's talk about Occupy Wall Street. 83 days has been established at Zuccotti Park. So where do you feel where did it start, and where do you see it now?
Well, the whole movement started with a Canadian magazine called Adbusters, which is an activist group that they have this publication. And I think it was in July, the editor of the magazine released an article saying, come down to Wall Street, encamp at this small park, Zuccotti Park. And they're really focusing on three main things: income inequality, the influence of Wall Street on Washington, and the fact that none of the bankers responsible for the 2008 financial crisis have gone to jail. We really haven't seen any justice in regards to the fraud at the top levels of Wall Street.
Now, it's amazing, James, that this movement that started, it wasn't embraced by the media. There was a little coverage of it so much. How do you feel regarding to the media's position on this movement?
I actually don't think that was a terrible thing, because it allowed the movement to create an organic culture without the influence of corporate media. So before the media came down there and was hyper-concentrated on this movement, they were able to develop themselves, figure out what exactly they were for. So I think it was a good thing, actually.
You know, I wonder if we can show the viewers that are watching. There's a graph that I have from the Pew Research Center that showed exactly how the progression of the media and regarding to the Americans' interest towards it. If they can get it up, if they can't, we'll just continue. Right now, you've seen Occupy Wall Street move even as further to abroad across the borders of the United States into major cities throughout the world. How do you feel about Occupy Wall Street world?
Exactly. This is a global trend. I mean, this really started, I feel like, in the Arab Spring, Tunisia, Iran, and you had the Arab Spring that spread throughout the Middle East and the Horn of Africa. And also, the summer was the European summer, where you saw students from London in the street, France, Italy, Greece, and now we have this, and a lot of people are calling it the American Autumn. So it's a global trend. It's a global sigh of oppression. I mean, the people want their voices heard, and it's something that's not particular to the United States, but it's all around the world that people are speaking out against these economic injustices.
Now, James, this Occupy movement has impacted many people, even as further as the Tea Party did. The Tea Party appeared to be as of a administration or of the actually establishment, but they're disassociating themselves with the establishment. They are a sector of the conservative movement. How do you view Occupy Wall Street in the sense of the comparisons to the Tea Party?
Well, the main difference between Occupy Wall Street and the Tea Party is that the Tea Party's agenda helps a particular group. I mean, the slogan for Occupy Wall Street is the 99%.
Exactly.
But the Tea Party really is for the 1%. They're for tax cuts for the rich. They're against entitlement programs. What they really want to do is repeal all the New Deal era legislation that we passed that created our middle class. So really, when a middle-class Tea Party person votes for their Tea Party candidate, they're really voting against their own economic interests. And that's the main difference between Occupy Wall Street. I mean, there are elements of the Tea Party that are establishment, because you have Tea Party congressmen. You don't have that with Occupy Wall Street, because I think Occupy Wall Street is a genuine populist movement, still trying to come to terms with where they're going to go with this. Whereas the Tea Party movement already has all these front groups, these organizations that raise money for candidates. So they're a much more establishment movement than the populist Occupy Wall Street movement.
Exactly, because it's amazing. Republican establishments in Congress, for example, Eric Cantor, if you remember, he was by the RNC committee meeting back in the summer, and he actually called out Occupy movement, calling it growing mobs. How do you feel regarding to if the perspective of someone that is an independent, looking at young people across all different backgrounds, races, going to meet in the park, wanting to sleep at a park to show their solidarity, to show off that we are unemployed. But what exactly is the purpose? Because you guys could easily get a job, just have your resume out there. What do you say to that?
Well, that's the thing. It's not that easy. You know, there's a book written in the 90s called The Bell Curve, which argued that the disproportionate amount of wealth is due to, education. But really, something that I've learned is that the top 1%, they're not all college educated. That the education gap doesn't explain the disparity of wealth. I met a man down at Occupy Wall Street. He had his bachelor's degree in business, his master's degree in public affairs, and he even became a lawyer. He can't find a job.
We'll hold that right back.
Okay.
We'll be right back. Stay tuned.